The Dodgers were so close in acquiring a star pitcher at the trade deadline. Hey, this is Mike Nelson of Dodgers Digest. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. I want to thank the 5% of you that have already subscribed, but 94% of you have not yet hit that subscribe button. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any big Dodger news. Let's get right into it. Blake Snell, that's right, Blake Snell from the San Francisco Giants was almost an LA Dodger. Got that report today. Dodgers Nation posting this today, coming from John Heyman. The Dodgers are reportedly interested in trading for Blake Snell. Yes, Blake Snell, the star pitcher that everybody wanted last year during free agency, during this year's trade deadline. San Diego and LA were among half a dozen teams who were inquiring for Blake Snell. But they both understood, of course, the situation with Blake Snell, which is his contract. Blake Snell can opt out at the end of this season. And, of course, there's already reports that Blake Snell is going to, in fact, do that. He will be opting out at the end of this season. Most likely going to leave the Giants after just 1 year. So there was, of course, I believe, some concerns with the teams that were trying to get Snell, whether that would really be worth it. I'm sure the asking price from the San Francisco Giants was very high, because we know Snell is a very talented pitcher. I mean, the guy has an amazing resume going back to his days with the Tampa Bay Rays. Pitching in that 2020 World Series against the Dodgers, basically helped the team get to that point, get to that World Series during that bubble year. And then of course went on to San Diego, pitched well. He would have, of course, personally have liked to pitch better. Didn't pitch, I believe, at the level he would have liked. But still better than other pitchers out there. So the Dodgers, just a shock report. The Dodgers were just so close. Who knows how close they would have been? I mean, I'm really anxious to see exactly what trade packages the Dodgers probably were offering, right? Because as we have discussed on this channel, the Dodgers have probably the best farm system in Major League Baseball. They have the best farm system. So they're always going to be players when it comes to making big trades year in, year out. That's why the Dodgers always pick up big stars, at the deadline. This year kind of came up short. I think they would have picked up Crochet had Crochet not had that ultimatum whether he would be pitching. Remember that ultimatum that Crochet gave that he would not pitch in the postseason for a team that didn't give him a contract extension. I believe that in the end kind of ruled him out from the Dodgers, because I believe the Dodgers still wanted to kind of see how he would fit in with the team, how he would do in a playoff situation, which Crochet has yet to do as a Major League Baseball player. So the Dodgers didn't want to kind of just throw out a big contract to him when trading him just to guarantee his playoff, appearance, for him to be on the playoff roster, for him to agree to pitch in the playoffs. That's why Crochet is not a Dodger. That's probably the only reason why. Then the Dodgers were willing to give up some top prospects for Garrett. There was, of course, the rumor with Skubal. Not sure if the Dodgers were willing to give up too much for him, although he's also a great pitcher, but there was probably there was a reluctance probably for the Dodgers to give up their top prospects for him, and that's why they ended up going with Flaherty, right? Didn't give up, one of their top prospects for him, gave up some prospects, but not guys that the Dodgers are thinking too highly of for the future. With Blake Snell, I'm sure the asking price was going to be probably even higher than the asking price for Garrett Crochet, right? I mean, the price for him was probably going to be high, like we have mentioned, top prospects, maybe even somebody who's playing right now that's doing well, right? Somebody that's currently on the team, such as James Outman, which I think a lot of teams were interested in at the deadline. The Dodgers did not trade. They held on to him. Maybe even Vargas, who did get traded, as we know. Probably that would have been probably what they would have to do. They have to give up Vargas and Outman to the Giants, right? I mean, the San Francisco Giants were going to want a lot from their division rival, which is just crazy to me to think about the Dodgers and Giants making a trade like this, right? I mean, we've seen the Dodgers and Giants make trades before, kind of like the Yankees and Red Sox have made trades. You would say the two biggest rivals in the East. The Dodgers and Giants are the two biggest rivals in the West in baseball. They have made trades in the past, but nothing of significant note, right? This would have topped all the transactions between both teams. The Dodgers acquiring Blake Snell, especially in the situation the Dodgers are in, in a desperate need for starting pitching, right? This would have really, really topped that. So I'm kind of surprised that the Dodgers really were in the conversation. You think about it, I just really wonder, we haven't gotten the reports yet of all the teams that were involved. I'm sure the Yankees and Red Sox were the other two teams. They seem like always be involved in things. Padres want him back. There's reports that Blake Snell is interested in going back to San Diego, which is not good news at all for the Dodgers. If you think about it, you don't want Blake Snell on San Diego. You do not want him to go back to that team. Division rival. I don't want to face Snell in the NLDS again. I think the Dodgers are going to be players potentially in the offseason for Blake Snell. I mean, if you think about it, they were interested during the trade deadline. I mean, you can't rule them out in the offseason when Blake Snell becomes a free agent, because that's what the reports are, that Blake Snell is going to opt out of his contract and become a free agent, test the free agent market. Not happy in San Francisco, looks like. San Francisco has caught fire. You got to give him that. We don't like to see the Giants win as Dodger fans, but they are playing a little bit better as of late. Potentially competing for a wild card spot. So, there is that, but I guess Blake Snell wants out of San Francisco. That's a given. Now, I want to talk about what that would have meant for the Dodgers, right? What that would have meant for this team to get a pitcher like Blake Snell. I mean, I think that would have meant a lot, right? That would have meant the Dodgers are potentially, they were World Series contenders prior to the trade deadline. I think they still are, but getting Blake Snell would have put them, in another space, right? I really think with the players that they have, of course, their rotation is lacking, but you add Blake Snell, you already have Tyler Glasnow, you're potentially getting Yamamoto back, you have Clayton Kershaw, who's pitching pretty good right now. Come on, who's going to beat that rotation? So Blake Snell would have really put the Dodgers in a space that I don't think other teams would have been able to obtain. Of course, you got to take into account Snell's health. Would he have stayed healthy the rest of the season? He's been dealing with some injuries, to say the least, this year. So would that have played a factor? We don't know if he would have completely been at his top for the rest of the season, especially come playoff time. I think that's why the Dodgers were a little bit apprehensive in giving up too much for Blake Snell in the trade deadline, right? But I'm sure the Giants wanted a lot. I'm really kind of disappointed the Dodgers didn't make this trade because I know the offseason is going to be a big question mark now for Blake Snell. And San Diego, the recent reports of the Padres being interested in him again, and of course the interest is mutual. I mean, that is tough to hear. You do not want Snell to go back to San Diego. That's going to make San Diego, a team to be, a team that will contend. They're not contenders right now, San Diego, just to put it simple. I don't think San Diego is a contender. Sure, they could potentially finish with the Dodgers and maybe win the division, but are they really contenders? I don't think so. They're a team that's good, but don't have really the rotation. They don't have it. So Dodgers have a better pitching rotation on paper. Sure, they haven't pitched good this year. They've had injuries, but the Dodgers have a better pitching rotation on paper, which puts them ahead of San Diego. And the Padres getting Blake Snell in the offseason will really hurt. Will make them contenders again, and you don't want to see that. You want the Dodgers to get Snell. So hopefully the Dodgers can pick up Snell in the offseason. But just a big report today, the Dodgers almost getting Blake Snell. Make sure to subscribe to Dodgers Digest for more great Dodger news.